The San Francisco 49ers have always been known for their elite defense, their physical identity, and their ability to dominate games through relentless pressure on opposing quarterbacks. But in 2025, something feels slightly off. The defensive line, once the pride of the team, hasn't been firing on all cylinders. Nick Bosa is still one of the best in the game, but teams have adjusted, double-teaming him nearly every snap. Chase Young's inconsistency and injury history have left questions about his long-term reliability. And after trading away some depth pieces and dealing with injuries, the Niners are suddenly looking a bit thin in an area that once terrified offenses. That's where the name Keion White comes in, a sneaky good potential trade target who might just be the kind of under-the-radar move that gives San Francisco the spark they need for another Super Bowl run. White, currently with the New England Patriots, is one of those players that casual fans might overlook, but NFL scouts and coaches quietly admire. He's raw, explosive, and versatile, the kind of defensive lineman who fits perfectly into the 49ers' aggressive high-motor style. Standing 6'5", 290 pounds, White is a physical freak with rare burst for his size. Coming out of Georgia Tech, he was known for his speed-to-power rush and his ability to play multiple spots on the line, from defensive end to interior tackle. The Patriots took him in the 2023 draft with the hope of developing him into a foundational piece. But New England's defensive scheme, combined with their chaotic rebuild, hasn't given him the best environment to thrive. That's why this trade rumor has fans buzzing. Could the 49ers be eyeing Keion White as their next reclamation project? Much like how they turned players like Arden Key and Charles Omenihu into productive stars under defensive line coach Chris Kukarek. It makes sense on multiple levels. The 49ers have a track record of getting the absolute best out of physically gifted, underused pass rushers. Coach Erek's system is built around rotation, speed, and relentless pressure, a system that rewards motor and effort as much as experience. White fits that mold perfectly. He's not just a speed rusher, he's a violent, powerful lineman who can push the pocket, disrupt running lanes, and collapse plays from the inside. Imagine pairing him with Bosa. Suddenly, the offensive line can't double-team just one side, and that balance could reignite San Francisco's pass rush. The question, though, is whether it's worth the price. The Patriots are in a rebuild but might not give up a young, cheap, talented player for nothing. So what would the 49ers have to give up? A mid-round draft pick seems likely, perhaps a 4th or 5th rounder. That's not a heavy price for a potential breakout talent, especially considering San Francisco's history of finding value in later rounds and developing players internally. But there's also the financial side. The Niners are walking a fine salary cap line, juggling big contracts for Bosa, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, and Fred Warner. Adding another defensive lineman means they'd have to manage cap flexibility carefully. However, since White is still on his rookie deal, that's actually another plus. He'd be a low-cost, high-upside addition, something every championship team needs. Still, not everyone's convinced this is the right move. Critics argue that the 49ers should prioritize secondary help or offensive line depth, especially given Brock Purdy's recent protection issues. They've already got a solid defensive line group, so why spend more draft capital on another project? The answer may lie in the philosophy that's carried this franchise to the top of the NFC: dominate the trenches, and everything else follows. John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have consistently built their team from the inside out. Even when fans questioned past moves, like trading for Dee Ford or signing Javon Hargrave, the 49ers stayed true to their identity. Relentless pressure wins games. And in the playoffs, when quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, or Dak Prescott come to town, you can never have too many pass rushers. Keion White could be the kind of mid-season addition that changes the entire dynamic of the defense, giving them the rotational depth needed to stay fresh deep into January. Another factor to consider is fit and culture. The 49ers locker room is filled with veterans who demand effort and accountability. Bringing in a player like White, a guy known for his work ethic and quiet intensity, would likely mesh well. Under the guidance of leaders like Bosa and Warner, White could blossom into a key contributor. There's also the fun angle. Imagine the chaos for opposing quarterbacks if Bosa, White, Hargrave, and Young all line up on third down. It's the kind of nightmare scenario that keeps offensive coordinators up at night. Of course, every potential move carries risk. White is still developing as a technician. He relies heavily on his physical gifts and has yet to refine his hand usage and counter moves. In the wrong system, that can stunt growth. But in San Francisco's scheme, which emphasizes attacking gaps and letting athletes do what they do best, that rawness could actually be a strength. Sometimes, all a player needs is the right environment and coaching to unlock his potential. We've seen it before with the 49ers, and we could see it again. From a strategic standpoint, this trade would also be a message to the locker room. The front office isn't settling. They're going all in for another Super Bowl run. That kind of energy matters. When a team sees management adding fresh talent mid-season, it sends a message that the goal is still crystal clear: win now. And when you look at the 49ers' recent struggles to generate consistent pressure outside of Bosa, adding a young, hungry player like White could be exactly the spark that gets them back to their dominant defensive ways. Analysts have noted that White's snap counts in New England have been limited, but when he's on the field, he flashes disruptive potential. His bull rush can collapse pockets, and his lateral quickness allows him to chase down mobile quarterbacks, something that's becoming more and more valuable in today's NFL. Against dual-threat QBs like Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson, having another athletic lineman who can contain the edge is crucial. And in the NFC playoff race, where every possession counts, a single key sack or forced fumble could be the difference between going home or going to the Super Bowl. Some might call it a gamble, but great teams take smart risks, and this one fits that mold. The best part? Even if the trade doesn't turn White into a star overnight, his presence would still provide insurance and depth which are invaluable over a 17-game season. Injuries happen, players wear down, and rotations get tested. The 49ers learned that the hard way in past playoff runs when injuries to key defenders cost them momentum. With White in the mix, they'd have another weapon ready to go when it matters most. Fans might not see this as the flashy blockbuster move, but sometimes the sneaky ones make the biggest difference. Remember when the 49ers quietly signed Omenihu or Jordan Willis? Those moves didn't grab headlines, but in crucial games, they made impact plays. White has that same potential, and at only 25 years old, he could be part of the team's defensive core for years to come. So, is trading for Keion White the right move? If you're the 49ers, it's less about making a splash and more about staying true to what's worked. Building an unstoppable defensive front and keeping pressure on opponents from all angles. The risk is minimal, the upside is enormous, and the timing couldn't be better. With the NFC tightening up and every game carrying playoff implications, one under-the-radar move could be the thing that separates the contenders from the pretenders. The 49ers don't need to reinvent themselves, they just need to reload. And Keion White might be the exact piece that turns a good defense back into a terrifying one. So yes, it's sneaky. Yes, it's a risk. But sometimes the smartest moves are the ones nobody sees coming until it's too late.